Divulge, written and read by Mary Teresa. Copyright 2017. The local drug dealers noticed the stranger first. They're paranoid on that account, seeing an undercover officer behind every tree. They determined, to the best of their limited ability, she was not interested in them, their drugs, or their world. The local police noticed her about the same time. As no emails had been received, they came to the same conclusion as the drug dealers. The delicate balance between manageable crime and unmanageable crime was maintained. Police officers never stayed long at this posting. No one knows why. 3 months after the stranger appeared, a special drug squad raided a meth lab, a big lab. No emails were received by the local police. Whether the success of the raid was dependent on this lack of emails is anyone's guess. The stranger had gone down this street upon occasion, so too had dozens of others, including the police informant. Whether the stranger was less conspicuous than he is open to debate. The drug dealers assumed she was responsible. The police informant was someone they had all gone to grade 7 with. Sure, he just got off on charges that seemed, by the criminal's perspective, to be rock solid. His buddies just thought he'd managed to pull one over on the authorities. In a few weeks, another lab was raided. People in the area were wondering why the area seemed so favorable to drug labs and dealers. That it was 5 miles from an international border and 2 from a major highway eluded many of them. Not the stranger. She thought about putting her house up for sale and wished real estate people would list the bloody drug labs. For, of course, the stranger knew the drug labs for what they were. She had been in law enforcement. The nature of her being I'm not prepared to divulge right now. You should not, however, be surprised should the stranger have reason to retrieve her gun and shoot it with accuracy. This tool of storytellers is called foreshadowing, and it's my way of letting you know this may become violent. The day after the police raided this second lab, the stranger's windows on the front of her house were shot out. This is a well-known signifier. She had annoyed someone. She retrieved her gun and dialed 999 on the landline. With her cell, she dialed her realtor. Her realtor answered first, and the stranger relisted her house before the emergency folk responded. It took 17 minutes. This was an era of government cutbacks. How's that for pinning time and date down? The police arrived 17 minutes later. The stranger did not want to divulge the nature of her being to these men. She tucked her gun, safety on, securely in the secret pocket in the left-hand armrest of her wheelchair. I noticed the license plate as well, she said to the obvious rookie. I'm crippled, not blind, she reminded him, so he recorded the plate number in his notebook. Any reason you can think of? He began to query, then looked pointedly at her chair. He assumed, I suppose, she couldn't have any enemies, but you all know better. As the stranger's identity was different from the one she'd been born with, she didn't answer his unfinished question. When he and his partner left, the stranger pondered the possibilities that old foes had found her. She retrieved and cradled her loaded weapon. They are a comfort that way. Her birth and death records were safely archived 2 countries away. The new identity was a creation of this country. After 5 minutes, maybe more, and a joint, perfectly legal in this part of the world, to ease the pain in her useless limbs, she concluded the shots could not have come from old foes. They would not have missed. Warnings of this nature belonged to a lower and less organized group of criminals. She added up the 3 events, raids 1 and 2, and the warning shots added up to something more than literary coincidence. She discovered, through her own devices, the owner's name and other particulars from the license plate. Through those same devices, she discovered details of the 2 raids, not normally divulged to the public. Raid 3 was scheduled for 3 days hence, and as this area was wheelchair accessible, she thought to do some surveillance. She was no fool. A wheelchair strolling the neighborhood of Raid 3 days before the event would only add justification to the shooting of her windows incident. Yeah, I know, street justice. I have written in the need for a drone, with enough foreshadowing to make this logical. Her wheelchair, however, will not be imbued with any special powers. A drone is well within the reach of someone capable of hacking police databases, off limits to most police, and of obtaining false documents in an admittedly liberal country, if liberalism is assessed by the free and unfettered use of medicinal herbs. She took a trip to the nearest hobby store and found a few remote flying devices that fit her immediate needs. Another trip to the franchise spy store found in the Tri-Country area, and her list was almost done. On the way home, she paused at the garden center to get some seeds and other innocuous supplies, and her list was complete. She got home in time to pay the man who had replaced her front windows. By the time her vegetarian stew was finished stewing, she had 2 drones and sent one on its journey of exploration and illumination. The second needed some finer tuning if it was ever to blow up on command, and she munched her barley stew to ponder the details. For 2 days, 48 plus hours, the drone gathered information. The comings and goings of this putative drug lab did not jive with comings and goings of drug labs she had observed in the past. She concluded this was a distribution center, protected by 17, not 3 men and a chihuahua. As the drone was doing much of the work of surveillance, the stranger relocated herself and her growing arsenal. Raid 3 was scheduled for 2 a.m., not to excuse stereotypes, but the team thought they'd complete the raid, the processing, and the paperwork by 5 a.m., and in time for the freshly baked bagels at the Bagel Bistro. Had their intelligence been accurate, this might indeed have been the timeline. Raid 3 made international news, and the cable in her wheelchair-accessible motel room gave full coverage. "Well," said the drug squad leader, "it looks like some retaliation occurred here. Not only did we find 17 bodies, we found enough drugs to get the countries to the east and west of us high for a year." That's not good for the tourist trade. The perps kindly left video surveillance that implicated 3 recently promoted police officers with houses in the district. The drug squad leader smiled. "I'll be getting a promotion because of this." "What tipped you off?" asked one hard-hitting reporter. "Well," said the police officer, "I can't divulge the details. Let's just call it good police work."